Yeah, good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome to this 29th in the series meeting on a very important issue today. That is Chandigarh Smart City Issues and Challenges, SDG Goal number 11. I am Dr. Sanjeev Chaddha, and today we have a very eminent panel, which I'll be introducing a little later on, to discuss about Chandigarh Smart City. What have been the issues? So friends, as you are aware that in the year 2015, June to be precise, the government of India came out with the Chandigarh Smart City, came out with the National Smart City Mission. This was a dream kind of a project by the government of India to develop 100 cities pan India, and the idea was to develop urbanization, to promote urbanization, so that the related effects on all forms of livelihood could be brought about. See, as we know, friends, that India, we have around 31% urban population, but it contributes to roughly 63% of the economic growth of this country, or to the GDP of this country. So it is now a well-conceived prophecy that the urbanization, if it is developed and if it is encouraged, it will lead to virtuous cycle of economic growth. So therefore, this smart city mission came around to bring about social, physical, institutional, and economic development of the infrastructure. And since 2015, this was considered to be a joint program between the state government and the government of India. The budget allocated to this was around roughly 49 or 48,000 crores. And it was on a pari passu kind of a thing, wherein the equal amount was to be brought about by the state government. So roughly you would say that 1 lakh crore, roughly around 1 lakh crore is to be expended or spent on developing of the smart cities. And couple this with the Amrut scheme, or the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation of Urban Transformation, wherein similarly 500 cities were thought to be developed in terms of sewerage, in terms of septage, in terms of groundwater, in terms of drinking water, non-motorized transports, etc. So this becomes, otherwise, the 100 these model cities plus coupled with this 500 cities, and a few cities in the heritage part also. So this was a dream project of the Ministry of Housing Urban Affairs, earlier called as Ministry of Urban Development. And the idea was that if the cities, they develop in a orderly manner, and if they develop in a good manner, organized manner, so therefore it will have cumulative effects on all other walks of life, rather than, because we have seen, and it's a trend also worldwide and even more so in India, that wherever there is industrialization, so people, they tend to migrate, and with migration the urbanization do happen, but that happens in a very haphazard manner. So it leads to ghettos, slums, and a lot of pressure on the infrastructure, and which later on leads to even the crimes, increase in crime rates, increase in traffic offenses, and puts a lot of pressure on the other infrastructure, like the education and the health facilities also. So therefore, this smart city mission came around, and now it is 5 years. So we thought it was fit now just to see, because fortunately we are in Chandigarh, and the Chandigarh UT has also been chosen as one of the smart city to be developed as a smart city. So friends, we have today three very eminent panelists who will be discussing about the issues, about the concept of smart city, what is the actual concept devised by the government of India, then how the Chandigarh as an union territory, how it has panned on last 5 years since it was declared as the smart city under the smart city mission, and thereafter what suggestions or what could have been done better, or what should be done better, and what are the certain the best practices followed in India also and abroad also in this line. So to discuss this and the sustainable development goals, as we also know, I mean, United Nations came out with sustainable development goals, which are 17 number, has 169 targets and more than 350 indicators. One of the goal, SDG goal number 11, is specifically tuned to sustainable cities. So it talks about, development of sustainable cities, which is good for the holistic development of human beings, to develop the quality of life of human beings so that they can, stay in a much better manner. So to develop all these issues which we are talking about, I'll not take much long. We have three very eminent panelists today. Shri N.P. Sharma ji, who is the Chief General Manager, the Smart City mission of Chandigarh. He is a Chief Engineer from MCC Chandigarh, and he has undertaken many projects while during his illustrious service. Shri Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, friend, as you know, he is an eminent academician and he is a town planner, retired, and now he's a freelancer and he's a avid researcher. He writes, he publishes, and he gives talks, and he's a very well-known authority on this subject. And ma'am, architect Sumit Kaur is a retired chief architect, Chandigarh administration. To her credit, she has number of projects while she was in service, and even today she contributes a lot to the concept of town planning and architecture. So I welcome all the three eminent panelists on this platform of IHRDI, which is Inclusive HR Human Resource Development Initiative. And with your support, we have successfully completed 28 sessions, which as a webinars, and this is the 29th session. And all the earliest ones, and this is also which later goes on to YouTube also. So the recordings are available. So a lot of intellectual capital is being created on different issues, and especially we do a lot of work on the sustainable development goals. So friends, not taking much long, the SARI team will be that first speaker would be Shri Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, who will talk about general concepts about what is the smart city all about, how the government of India has brought about this scheme, and to be followed by engineer N.P. Sharma ji, who will give his brief about what Chandigarh has done in this regard in the last 5 years, and what they propose to do. And thereafter, Ma'am Sumit will come up with various suggestions, advice, or what could have been better, and then how it could be linked to even SDG. So friends, with your permission, I welcome Shri Jeet Kumar Gupta ji on the podium dais, and good afternoon and a warm welcome. And the stage is all yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. So you give me the right to share screen? Is it right? Is it visible, sir? The presentation is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Visible.
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk about the smart cities. Thank you, Dr. Chaddha, and thank you, my co-panelist, Sumit and Sharma ji. I think we have more learned people than me who know the city thoroughly. But as an outsider, I'll briefly be explaining about the context of the smart cities and their context in the urban cities. So this is a general kind of presentation, and let me tell you, the cities have been integral part of the human history. They have been in existence in the past, they continue to exist, and they shall dominate in the future also. We can see, how what is the context of the cities in the when we compare it with the globally, we should understand that cities are basically very compact. Cities are known for compactness. Cities are known for intensity. Cities are known for concentration, and cities are the greatest job market. Majority of the people who are in cities are primarily searching for jobs, and they remain a kind of civilization, a culture, and a kind of growth, which is leveraged by economy, employment, prosperity, wealth, and but all positivity besides negativities. Let's understand, cities in the globe occupy only 2% of the land, generate 70% of the economy, consume 60% of the global energy. They are responsible for global warming in terms of 70% of the greenhouse gas emission, and they are also responsible for generating 70% of the waste. The entire context, the positivity and negativity of these cities have been, documented and displayed by the United Nations Habitat Report. That's 2008 and 9, when they're talking about cities, and they want the cities to be harmonious cities. And they say cities contain both order and chaos. In them reside beauty and ugliness, in virtue and vice. They can bring out best or worst on humankind. They are physical manifestation of history and culture. They are incubators of innovation, industry, technology, entrepreneurship, and creativity. Cities are materialization of humanity's noblest idea, ambition and aspiration, but when not planned or governed properly, they can be repositories of society's ill. Cities drive national economies by creating wealth, enhancing social development, and providing employment, but they can also be breeding grounds for poverty, exclusion, and environmental degradation. So you can see, that cities have been the one who are promoter of economy, but also misery in for the humanity itself. Let's understand how the cities have gained prominence, because we took 2 lakhs years to come to first billion that we came in 1804, but in last 200 years we have grown 7.8 time. That's 7.8 million, and every day cities are adding 1.8 lakh people per day. That means every 6 days we need a metropolis like Chandigarh to be developed in order to accommodate the addition in population. And by 2030, they say, that, that 1.4, India will have for 1.4 billion people, and more. By 2050, India will have 1.6 billion people, out of which 50% will be living in cities. But UNO project that global population will be 8.9 to 11 billion, by 2050. And that's what the context remains, that human are going to invade this planet. It's a problem not of growth and development, it's a problem of managing humanities. And basically, humanity will be surging to the urban area, and that's the reason the urban area becomes very, very context. And if you look at the these countries, there are two countries which are billionaires, India and China. They hold jointly 35% of the global population. But if you look at city, one city, the largest city in world is the Tokyo, which has 34 million population. That means you can have 34 Chandigarh joined together, and that's the Tokyo city. That's the total state of Punjab plus 25% population of this. That is the population of this city. You can see the concentration. Looking at India, during last 100 years, we have marched very rapidly in our population. Our population has grown 5 times. Our population has grown 5 times. Rural population has grown 3.5 times. But urban population has grown 15 times, whereas number of settlement has grown only 4 times, whereas level of urbanization is hardly 3 times. That's 10 to 31%, and we are going to march to 50% by the year 2050. That means we are going to add another urban India in the next 30 years. We were 38 crores in the year 2011. We are going to be 80 crores in the year 2050, and in 2050 the rural population will start decreasing, and urban population will start increasing. And looking at the concentration, we will have 100 metropolitan cities, we'll have 7, mega city of population 10 million, plus by 2030, and there are 9 by 2050, whereas we never had any city of 10 million plus in 2051. So we can look at, urban areas remain important for there will be housing, large population, they will be generating large employment, they will be area of investment, they will be having best of infrastructure and services, and they will be the center around which the entire economy and productivity of nation will gravitate. And it is said 10 largest cities of India, which has only 8% population, produce 15% of the wealth. And 3 metro cities house 13% population but produce one third of the wealth. Whereas 100 largest cities house 16% population and produce 43% of the GDP. Dr. Chaddha has said, cities are now generating 63% wealth, 63% of the wealth. That means 31% of the population is, generating 63% of the wealth, and this is 69% of the rural population generates around the rest of the 37%. But you can understand rural economy is agriculture oriented, urban economy is basically soft skills, service sector, and industry oriented. And you can have any amount of productivity depending upon what kind of, you have the innovation, technology, etc. But we have looked at the positivity, and there are, McKinsey Global Research Institute report of 2010, where are they are saying the urban area is going to be the biggest tiger, unleashing huge amount of energy, employment, and challenges, both opportunities and challenge. How best you can manage will hold the future of the country. So when we looked at the advantages, I think we must look at the disadvantage. And you need to see, urban areas are not governed and managed properly. They are not able to provide basic amenities of life, even shelters, services, lands, etc. You find the enormous growth of slums. There is a population, or there is a problem of traffic and transportation. So if you look at, Indian urbanization, it's a urbanization of population, poverty, and pollution, and they are the 3 greatest challenges which have to be met. So how best you can meet it? I think that remains the context. And if I sum up the total urban problem, it's a problem of water supply, sewerage, housing, transportation, drainage, solid waste management, and open spaces. So you see, these are the major problems, and this is what India needs to sort out, to make cities more sustainable, livable, and also make cities smart. And smart city mission is primarily and essentially addressing these urban ills, to overcome these challenges, so that you have, best of environment and services provided to your residents. Let's understand, smart city is not a new concept. It has been in vogue for a lot of years. All cities are trying to work out their own agenda, and even planners have been doing their own services in the past. Architects and planners are looking at cities. What option, what kind of cities are there? So you have all kind of ideologies coming up in terms of planned city, inclusive city, sustainable cities, green city, intelligent city, and we talk about the smart cities. And we have been finding solution also in terms of garden city, linear city, industrial city, vertical city, compact city, and a radiant city. So therefore, I think we are still looking at one of the, which could be the best option to make city more livable and sustainable. As Dr. Chaddha said, that there are 17 goals initiated by United Nations to make this planet more livable and sustainable and safe. And that's what, these 17 goals are the one which every country has to achieve by 2050, partially by 2030. And goal 11 remains relevant to today's deliberation, which talks about making cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. If we can make these cities, within 4 these parameters, I think we are done at the job. And majority of 9 goals can be achieved by simply one goal, that is making cities, sustainable. We come back to the smart city. Smart city as a mission was launched by Government of India. Let's say, this is the first mission which is focusing on urban area. Earlier, we were looking at urban areas in one sector or other. There were earlier JNNURM. Smart city mission is primarily and essentially extension of Jawaharlal Urban Mission, which were ruled by 2004 to 14. They had only 65 cities, which have now been extended to 100 cities. And they include all those, basically the metropolitan city. There are 52. There are capital city, cities of historical and cultural importance of the city, city which matter for India, which can represent the Indian urban centers, and they can become the role model for urban growth and development. So this mission was launched after the new government came in the year 2014, and their agenda was to look at the cities in a focused manner. And the agenda was that in their election manifesto was that they will launch smart city mission, and that's what they did it in the June 2015, identifying that how those cities can be made smart. And initially they selected cities, and this is 100 cities were selected, and all covering all states, and the states were asked to file if these were the cities, then there was competition held. They was taken up in phase one. There were 28 cities, and then depending upon what their programs was, so it was a smart city challenge which was floated, by in which they selected phase wise the cities which were more innovative, which were forthcoming, they were selected as phase one. Ultimately, it's 100 cities which are coming up as the smart city. Chandigarh is one, Punjab has three, Amritsar, Jalandhar, and Ludhiana, and then Shimla and Dharamshala are in Himachal, and similarly in Haryana, Karnal, and Faridabad, they remain 3 to 5, 7, and 8 cities in this region which are to be made a smart city. So smart city mission is basically looking at three-pronged strategy. That's basically retrofitting the existing city. That's a brownfield development, Then there's a greenfield development. You take a new area, develop it, or you can have a pan-city approach. Basically, this three-pronged strategy of looking at cities or making them smart was basically making them citizen-friendly. They're making people-centric. They're making them sustainable and inclusive. And they wanted all basic amenities and quality of life to be provided using smart technologies. And they wanted to create models which could be replicated over by other cities. So basically, the mission objective remained that you have to provide core infrastructure, give a decent quality of life, provide clean and sustainable environment, promoting sustainable and inclusive development. Do you have to drive economic growth of the city, and using smart solution, harnessing technology, and we will have a kind of outcome, a kind of models, which could be replicated to the city. So the three things they were looking at: area-based approach, that's a brownfield development, where they wanted the existing problematic area of the city could be looked into, planned, and made into a better one, like slums, so that this impact the total city, so it improves the livability of the city. In addition, they wanted you can take up the new areas, where you can have best of the option for planning, architecture, urban design, and landscaping and infrastructure to be used, which becomes a role model for future growth and development of the city. And thirdly, you can take up the entire city, you can take up water supply, sewerage, sanitation, road network, so that entire city could be looked at, and particularly in that city, services, so that you provide improved infrastructure and services delivery. So ultimately, this three-pronged strategy was looking at comprehensive development, for improving quality of life, creating employment, removing poverty, and also empowering the poor people, and making cities inclusive, etc. So smart city mission, if you cumulatively look at, it wanted to address the water supply, electricity, solid waste management, sanitation, mobility, affordable housing, a robust IT connectivity, good governance, sustainable environment, safety, security of the city and people, citizens, and health and education. You have seen, Government of India launched 5 mission and 2 yojana. Prime Minister Awas Yojana, Swachh Bharat mission, then you have National Urban Livelihood Mission. They all basically, like this Amrit, etc. These missions are primarily and essentially focusing on the cities itself to make it smart city. So all this agenda which has been defined in the smart city is being achieved through those kind of mission and 5 mission and 2 yojana which the government of India has launched, And then smart city mission is primarily, focusing on, I said, 6 key areas. That's e-governance, water management, waste management, energy management, urban mobility, and in addition, healthcare and, business and skill development. They are the area where they wanted the smart solution to be provided in order to, make their delivery effective and efficient, So Government of India is looking that this is the Government of India Ministry of Urban Development figures. They say this smart city mission is going to impact 99 million people, urban people of the country. That's 1/4 of the total population. The total cost of the project shall be 2,05,000 crores, and in which the area-based development, basically, that's, the pocket which we were looking at, the brownfield development, that's 1.64 crore, whereas pan city solution, that infrastructure, etc., they constitute about 38,914 crores. That's the breakup of the Government of India has given. But greenfield development has not yet come in out of that context. Very few are, very few projects. That's what are being listed under that head. But the Government of India lists flagship project. That's they have many cities are doing their own job and their own culture, and they are trying to promote their own solutions, and they are trying to be more intelligent in certain areas. Like Pune is looking at intelligent traffic management, but they are also looking at solid waste management. They remain role model of solid waste management. Public cycle sharing has been promoted by Bhopal. Then integrated control and command center has been set up by Surat. Then smart street bench is in the idea which have been projected by Coimbatore, and then all ability children park in Vishakhapatnam. Open spaces development has been the domain of New Delhi Municipal Corporation, whereas Indore has impinged upon the riverfront development. Public amenities the focus of Chennai, whereas the roads, that this municipal bonds, that they are raising money out of the people, that's being done by Lucknow and many other cities. But I think this remains the total context of the smart city. But I will briefly take few minutes. Chaddha, I'll take few minutes what globally cities are doing to make it smart itself. And then the global practices that you have to have a smart vision, whereas all cities are different. You can't have, one standard formula for the development of city. Each city has positivity, negativity. Each city have strengths and weaknesses. Each city have a structure and fabric which is unique to that city, which is not replicable to anybody. That needs to be identified, built on, and then promoted. So that's smart visioning. We have to have a new order of planning. Unfortunately, we're focusing on urban planning, and urban planning is basically one which is leading to a lot of problems at the ignorance of the rural area. So majority of urban problems have their genesis in the neglect of the rural area. So new order of planning will have to be a regional planning first, then an urban planning. I think Government of India should they should rethink about that looking only at smart city will not do anything. Whatever you may do, some will continue to grow because people are migrating, and we are still at 31%. At the urbanization, we are going to go 50%. 19% people are, majority of people are going to migrate from the rural area to urban area if we don't look at the rural areas. So therefore, I think new order of planning shall be basically looking at the region rather than looking first at the city. We have to make, then look, when you look at the city, we have to redefine our planning tools. We have to make cities more compact, energy efficient. We have to plan city with nature and biodiversity. We have to plan for people, not for vehicle, We have to plan, promote accessibility, not mobility, We have to check the urban sprawl. We have stopped melting the city. We have to reduce the carbon footprint and make cities more environment friendly. Kabuzir said, the city has 4 functions to do. That's living, working, care of body and spirit, and circulation. And he says, if you have to develop a city, and that he gave the notion of radiant city, Here, the priority shall be living, working, care of body and spirit. All the cities are designed and with least priority going to circulation. And he said, the 3 basic fundamentals, that sun, space, and greenery. That means if you are doing this, you will be having one of the best solution. Then looking at, mobility, we have a problem of mobility. We have problem of traffic and transportation. I think what I said, we have to change our priority from planning for vehicle to the planning for people. If you do that, our priority for travel will change. It will be top will go to walking, bicycle, public transportation, taxi, carpool, car, etc. That will be there, and will respect cycling as integral part of the traffic and transportation system. We can have equitable allocation of space, and then we look at buildings, built environment, which constitutes the major mass of the city, which is the major consumer of energy, resources, and generator of waste, So we'll have to make our buildings green. And when you look at the buildings as a green building, I think we have to understand building have to be designed based on Panch Mahabhuta. That's nature, That's Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, and Akash. If we are the 5 elements integrate in the built environment, I think we will do a wonderful job, and the city will become more smarter and healthy. Greening city will be another area like Chandigarh. They say, that the planners made sure, that city remains integrated as a part of the nature. City promote nature. City remain connected with the nature. Cities grows under nature, That's what the idea has to be, And Singapore, they are short of, they are like city state. They have limited area. The building they require, for housing lot of activities and housing people and constructing building. But they are saying how to compensate about the green area. What they have done, whatever building is permitted to you, whatever area you eat away under the building, you have to create the same green area within the building. And this is what 750-story tower, where all the area which have been covered by these buildings have been created right on the top, and the terraces and the other areas as a green area which people can use. So there people are finding this. Then technology remains another domain. Technology has been globally used for people, for traffic and transportation, for managing waste, like garbage bins, for planning city, for tackling air pollution, for promoting efficiency and service delivery, and then to generate so much data, so that you can promote proper planned development of the city. And globally, the cities have been led by, leaders who have become the best, not like Chandigarh, where you have a mayor changed every year, So if at all it is to be there, it's a leadership which have, all role commitment, and they, contribute to the city. They are responsible and they are there. And ultimately, we look at the cities, that cities will have to be planned on circular economy. Cities have to be city to manage their own waste, There is no waste, in a circular economy. It's not a linear economy. It's a circular economy where no product will go waste, where every planning, every development, every design of the project will be done with what, to generate minimum waste, to have a longer life, and to have a recyclability. That is what, the mandate is. I think the future of the city will depend upon how we can replan our city, redesign our city, and make our city based on the circular economy. But globally, whatever the 100 best cities in the world have been studied, and they say there are 3 mantras to make cities smart. Number 1, that city must achieve the smart growth. And that smart growth will be finding best solution to do things sustainability, to promote economic development, have employment for everybody, earn good money so that can enjoy the good quality of life. So all basically option will be leading to smart growth. Secondly, city will need money for doing all their project and do all their development, so they will have to do more with less. That means city will have to tap all its resources, collect it, manage it, spend it in most effective and efficient manner. And that's what have been demonstrated by all the cities. So first is their development approach. Second is their managing the money. Third, management, that they are winning sport for people, a change, that leadership is involving the people in their system of growth and development. That means they are trying to have project which can be delivered fast, they have a positive impact, and they have visible impact. And then they involve, they win the faith of the people, and they get involved, And in addition, they will have high performing civil servant who are responsible and accountable for their work, and they work like they work in their own home. That is what the context is. So ultimately I conclude, I think we have to, if at all cities have to be built smart, we have to build less on less, build in and out. We have to build light, left, build ordinary, safe and not sterile. You build local, you have to build hope, not ambition, but you build for need, not greed, and you create more joy, and not promote ego. Thank you very much. That's what the ambit is. I'm sorry I took time, but that is what the total context of the smart city. Thank you, Dr. Chaddha. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for such a comprehensive and a very, very interesting take on what smart cities are, what the government of India's mission for smart cities. And coming forward, I now request Engineer N.P. Sharma ji, who's Chief Engineer, Municipal Corporation Chandigarh, and Chief General Manager T&D Chandigarh Smart City Limited, to take up the matter from here and talk about what the Chandigarh Smart City Limited is doing to make our Chandigarh city a smart city and to improve the quality of life of Chandigarhians. So welcome, sir. Welcome, Sharma ji, and very warm welcome on this podium. Podium is all yours, sir. Yeah, Sharma ji, you can start. Yeah. Sharma sir, you can start. Mr. N.P. Sharma, kindly start. Sir, kindly unmute yourself. Sharma sahab, kindly unmute. Yes.
Yes, am I audible? Hello.
You're audible now. Yes, sir. Please start.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my connection. Hello.
You may start, sir. You're audible now, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, panelists and audiences. I'm N.P. Sharma, Chief General Manager of Chandigarh Smart City Limited. As Professor Gupta sir has explained what smart city in detail in his elaborative presentation, so I'll sum up what ideas he has given about the smart cities. And in my view, what smart city is all, it's not all about creating the infrastructure. It is about establishing such components in the city which make the lives of the people easy, as well as the system which is sustainable and which is environmental friendly also. So with this vision, the Chandigarh Smart City, as envisaged by the Government of India, was established in 2016 but it actually started working effectively in the year 2018. And earlier I was working as Earlier, I was working as a chief engineer in Chandigarh Smart City in Municipal Corporation, and then I was given this charge to handle certain number of projects. As you know, as the panelists are well known from the city, and the city is a planned city, but at the same time, it is a landlocked city also, and is a union territory. So it's governed by the government of India, and there are many organizations which are working to make the city smart. It's not only the Chandigarh smart city which is working on the concept, but Chandigarh Housing Board, as sir has mentioned, the PMAY Yojana, and Chandigarh Housing Board is handling that. Similarly, Municipal Corporation is handling certain number of projects. Similarly, the Chief Engineer UT from the UT administration is handling the projects particularly relating to the electricity and underground cabling also. So Chandigarh Smart City Limited, which is a SPV under the chairmanship of advisor to the administrator, it's given the work of 39 projects which are to be executed by this. So I'll discuss only the very important projects which are big and important projects for the city. And with this vision, we actually divided all the projects into 4 5 categories. One was water and wastewater, otherwise solid waste management. Then it was IT and ICT. Then it was public mobility, and then it was solar energy. So I'll first touch the public bike sharing, which is a project which is very close to my heart, and Dr. Gupta also mentioned it in his speech. The public bike sharing project is one of the largest project in of India, which Chandigarh is going to do. It comprises of 617 docking stations, comprising of 5,000 bicycles. Like sir mentioned in his presentation, Bhopal is doing. They are doing it, and they are running it very effectively with 250 or 500 bicycles. But we are going in a mammoth way by doing 5,000 cycles at a time. And even in our one of the pilot, which we call a cycle for change project, we have installed 230 bicycles. And I tell you that there are 15,000 downloads within 1 month of the smart bike app, and we have already covered 35,090 kilometers of the rides in the city within 1 month by different users. We daily get the data from our command center, and this is one of the biggest project of India. And the docking stations which we have set up are planned in such a way, in consultation with the chief architect UT, that every sector, every subsector of the sector also get at least one docking station inside it, so that people use the cycle for their daily course also. And coupled with the cycle tracks network of the city, we have 200 kilometer of dedicated cycle track network. We actually we actually envision it as a alternate mode of transport in the city by the next year, by the March next year 2022, because we are going to cover 155 docking stations by May 2021, and by March 2022 will cover all the 617 docking station. And the best part of this is that the company from the pilot project, they have learned that most of the people are preferring to use e-bikes. So they intend to introduce maximum number of e-bikes in the system. They intend to actually include 70% of the e-bikes and 30% of the normal bikes. So this is a project which will, I think, which will be a revolution in the NMT sector, and will bring about the pattern change in the pattern how people use the transport, various modes of transport in the city. We are very hopeful on this project. Similarly, a very small project of 10 e-carts, those from the city must have seen plying in the Sector 17 Plaza. Those were introduced to ferry the old and sick people if they want to do shopping and stroll around in Sector 17. So they are they are given ride free of cost by the Chandigarh Smart City Limited. Similarly, we are introducing mobile van for the elderly care of the elderly people in the city. This we are doing in consultation with the doctors from the PGI, from the ENT department. We are getting them the mobile van, and they will be maintaining and operating it. And what the benefit people will get is that this van will go to the house of the elderly people on their call to check their hearing problems, and even to every facility, doctors and the PTT tests, every testing facility will be available in the van. It will be going to their doorsteps to check their hearing problems and suggest the treatment. Similarly, the second point is solar energy. We are far ahead in the solar energy as compared to the rest of the India. Already we have actually 39 megawatt of generation of electricity from the solar energy itself. And we intend to generate 69 megawatt by the end of the year 2022. For this purpose, we are actually using all the open spaces, like the space available on our clear water tanks in the storage reservoirs. Similarly, we have our 8 raw water tanks in sector 39 waterworks, where a huge area is available, and from this single site we will be getting 13 megawatt of the electricity. And Chandigarh administration has made it mandatory for every house 1 canal or above area to have the solar power plant, and we intend to get around 17 megawatt of electricity from this. Already we have covered all the municipal buildings, community centers, and Chandigarh administration building with the solar power plants. So this is a very what I say that we a visionary project of Chandigarh administration, where we are also getting accolades from the
Sir, I think some issue with the voice. Yeah, Sharma sir. Yes, sir. Please kindly unmute yourself. Sharma sir, you're visible, but voice is not audible.
Okay, now I think I'm.
Yes, sir. Please.
Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm getting disconnected. Actually, I'm connecting from mobile.
No problem, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. And the second big project in terms of non-renewable energy, what we planned was changing of all the conventional street lights, like sodium vapor lamps and mercury vapor lamp, with the energy efficient LED lights. For this purpose, we joined hands with the EESL, a Government of India PSU, and without spending a single penny from the smart city side, we were able to change 48,000 street lights with the LED lights. And by this, we are saving 50% of the energy bill of the city. And last week, we were given award for the first city which changed all its conventional lights with LED lights in one go. And we were given award by the Bureau of Energy, Ministry of Power, last week for this purpose. So this was also a project on renewable energy by us. And next, if I come to water and wastewater, as Professor Gupta also mentioned that that water and wastewater is also one of the components of the smart city. So for this purpose, we divided the project into two parts. The one was a pilot project, and another is a Pan City project. For the pilot project, we selected the Mani Mazra area, which is a very difficult area of 865 acres with about 50,000 of population. And we selected this area so that we do the difficult area first for making it a 24/7 watt supply project. So the tenders have already been floated, and we are evaluating the bids for the purpose. And soon, in the coming years, we'll see it as a reality. And if I speak about the Pan City project, we are already signed the agreement with the France Development Agency, and the board of directors of the France Development Bank, which in short is called AFD, has already approved the project. And we are going to, as I mentioned, that I am going to DA tomorrow to sort out the formalities for getting the agreement between AFD and DEA. And I think we'll be able to tender the project by the end of May this year. By this, we will be actually saving the water by doing 24/7, because people will not be storing the water. Once we develop the confidence in the people that all the time the drinkable and quality water and with full pressure is available, they will stop storing the water. And when I particularly I vision that it will be a tank free rooftops of the city after 5-7 years. And this will actually reduce the consumption of the water and thereby bringing the energy efficiency. And that's how we are actually ingraining the sustainability in the project, because there will be less pumping, less use, less pumping, and thereby will be meeting the SPIHO norms of 155 LPCD use per day. And if I talk about the sewerage, actually we are upgrading the sewerage treatment plants to the latest norms fixed by NGT. NGT has actually fixed that the effluent should be having BOD less than 10 milligram per liter, but we are going a step further so that for coming 30-40 years, we don't need to actually upgrade the these sewerage plants. And for this purpose, we have kept the norm of the effluent of BOD of the effluent as 5 milligram per liter. And one of our STP project will be having zero coliform, and rest within the norm. Rest of the STPs, 5 STPs, will be having coliform level less than 100 MPN. And similarly, the phosphorus level will be also less than 5 milligram per liter. And the best part of the project is that the sludge will be generated. This is a big problem, particularly for us people, because we are a landlocked state and we don't have any space left where we can dispose of the sludge. So we went for a very latest technology for converting the sludge into a class A sludge manure. And the system we are installing is like that. It will be self-sustaining. It will be generating power from the sludge and then converting into a pathogen-free class A sludge. Will be then we are also coming with a small project so as to pack this manure and sell it to the farmers, because it will be pathogen free, and we don't have to require any land for disposal of the sludge. This is the best part of this project. So this has already been this is already on ground, and we intend to complete all the projects by 2022 end. And similarly, actually, by the process of this effluent, the effluent will be of such a high quality that we intend to bring back it to the city for irrigation, for the purpose of irrigation of the lawns and playgrounds of the schools and our gardens. Already we have a tertiary network, but it is not sufficient. And at present, the problem we were facing is that though we are bringing about 8 mgd of tertiary water back to the city from our existing plants, but people complain of the smell and pressure. And that pressure of the water is not available, or it is smelly, so they won't use it. So for this purpose, Smart City came up with a small project of 5 crore rupees for installing SCADA on the tertiary water lines. So the project is underway, and it will be measuring the parameters at those points, parameters like DO, parameters like this pressure and chlorine content in the tertiary water, so that we can bring a confidence in our citizens, in our governing bodies like our general house councillors, that we are supplying good water to the city. And if there is genuine problem, then we should address it, and so that we could pull that particular officer that you in your area the water pressure is low, or in your area the water is not having proper dissolved oxygenate, or its BOD is very high, it's causing smell a nuisance to the public. So this project is also underway, and will be completing in within next 3 months. So this and similarly, like we are coming up with a small pilot project of water ATMs in ABD area. Our ABD area is sector 17, 22, 35 and 43. We are coming up with the 10 water ATMs. And the purpose is that people do not actually carry the plastic bottles with them. And because sometimes you just need to take a sip or two sips and you need to buy a bottle and then carry it along, causing inconvenience also. So we are setting up 10 water ATM stations at prominent stations in the city, like bus stand, sector 17, sector 22, 35, like this. And the project is already, RFP has been prepared and will be tendering it in within 1 month, like this. So I'll be short and I'll be coming to solid waste management now. And in solid waste management, we are coming up with 5 or 6 projects in the city. The first project is all of the panelists must be knowing the Dedu Majra dumping ground. And there are two kinds of waste there. One is legacy waste, which is a waste being dumped there before 95. And other dump is the waste which is fresh waste, which is 95 के बाद वाला जो waste है. And we have actually it is spread in area of 45 acres. And we from the smart city side are biomining the legacy waste by separating its different components, by separating it into different components like RDF, biosoil, and the C&D waste. So the biosoil, we this is a 5 lakh metric ton waste lying there for about 50 years back, and it has now become almost inorganic, and we are biomining it, and we are getting about 65% of biosoil and 17% of RDF and about 17% of C&D waste. C&D waste, we are taking it to the our C&D waste plant, which is already set up in industrial area phase 1, and we are making tiles and curb and channels and bringing back to MCC for installing on the roads. And RDF, we have a signed up agreement with Ultratech Cement, and we are supplying there. And biosoil, we got it tested for TLCP test, which is a toxicity test, so that it does not actually cause harm to the underground water. And it was found safe, and now we are dumping it in the low-lying areas of the city, as well as it is being used for covering the municipal solid waste, fresh municipal solid waste daily, which is unprocessed. So another project we are coming up with is segregation, door-to-door segregation. And for this purpose, we have already bought 450 vehicles of 1.8 cubic meter and 3.2 cubic meter. And we have divided the city into 10 zones. And each zone will be monitored at the SCADA center, where even the time taken by a vehicle from one house to another house will be measured, and the software will be monitoring that why this vehicle is taking much time or why it is taking less time. And the driver will also be equipped with a mobile app, and he can even take a photo of the unsegregated waste and send it to the municipal authority. And now these days there are heavy penalties for not segregating the waste, and this will be actually directly coming into their water bills once validated by the municipal officer health that it is actually a non-segregated waste. So these vehicles will be collecting the segregated waste from the houses and take it to the material recovery facility. What Gupta sir was telling that Pune and Indore is doing, actually we are also doing that. 3 material recovery facilities are being set up, one at sector 43 BRD, sector 47, one in industrial area phase 1, and one at Dedu Majra. And there the wet waste will be actually dumped there into very big vehicles of 20 cubic meter each, and dry waste will be taken to material recovery facility, where recyclables will be taken out and non-recyclables will be sent to the processing plant. So the non-recyclable and the wet waste, when once processed into the municipal waste solid waste plant, will convert into RDF and compost. And very little waste actually will be left, about 10 to 12% will be left, which will be a harmless waste and which will be dumped into the sanitary landfill site, which we are coming up shortly, because we have allotted the tender and work will be.
Yeah, I think some problem with Mr. Sharma's Wi-Fi. So meanwhile, can we take a question? I think there were 2-3 queries. Gupta sir. One was by Mr. Saibi. So till the time he joins, I think we can take one question. There was one query by Mr. Saibi.
Could you repeat?
It says that what is the plan for inducing sense of responsibility among the urban area citizens as well as migratory people to make them smart in consonance with the concept of smart city. Huge loss of ecosystem is being witnessed with various constructions and highways, and widening is making these congested as before with parking and many such problems.
In fact, you know, one is a citizen. Involving citizen would be very, very critical because no city can be made smart or it cannot be made effective and efficient till people come forward and people cooperate, you know. City belongs to people, and I think that is where the city must be able to create ownership among the people that they own the city and they have to operate it. Number one. Number two, you know, that I said the problem is the total priority of planning will have to change. That our priority is now basically planning for vehicle. Once we plan for vehicle, there is no end of vehicle. Every year, India is becoming the largest manufacturer of the, you know, mechanized vehicle, and we are producing 2 crore cars and 5-6 crores two wheelers. You know, they're all on the roads. Where is the road going to be space going to be found? Let's understand also, a vehicle has only 10% of the time on the road, whereas 90% it is stationary, you know. So it's not only the road you have to find for the vehicle to move, but the more problem is where the vehicle is to made a stand, you know. Then vehicle is not stationary at one place. You need a space at your home, you need a place at your school, you know, you need as a place of your leisure, etc. So this multiplication of the need of the parking remains, you know, very, very critical. So therefore, I think we have to look for the other kind of opportunity for, number one, for planning. And I said, let's plan for people, not for vehicle, number one. Number two is that let's not depend upon the individual vehicle, and let's move on to the public transport. Mass transportation could be there. So there are, you know, the like city like Chandigarh, they are primarily because we have a gridiron pattern. There are no shortcuts involved, you know. This gridiron pattern has its own limitation. So therefore, I think when we plan the city, we have to be very careful that what kind of shape, size, and the pattern we adopt, so that we give the idea of compact city. I'll stop it here. Sharma ji is back.
Sorry. Actually,
Please
some
go ahead.
trouble is going on, and I have to reload. Actually, sorry, very sorry.
Yeah,
very
no
sorry.
problem. Yeah, no problem, Sharma ji. Please go ahead.
I was so discussing with we were discussing the solid waste management projects. So I was telling that we are all Dr. Gupta, as you told that we are also actually we are on the way to achieve the targets. And by the end of this year, people will see a sea change in the solid waste management system. And as Dr. Chaddha has also mentioned that what problems we are facing is that our processing plant is not working well at present. So the system, the desired results, what we want to achieve will not be available until there is no fresh waste actually. If fresh waste will keep on coming to the dumping ground, then there will be, though we will be vacating 20 acre of land by our legacy mining project, but it will again be refilled once fresh waste there. So but the municipal corporation is coming up, they have already floated the expression of interest, and they will be upgrading this plant, and I think by the end we finish our projects, they will be able to run the plant effectively, so that the city see a clean city in terms of the solid waste management. So will also be actually in line with the other cities of India. And the next another project, as Gupta sir has mentioned, I was noting actually the points he was elaborating, very detailed presentation he gave us. And one project is IT and ICT. through IT and ICT, actually, we intend to actually address our traffic and surveillance problems. So we are coming up with a big project, which is a pan city project, where we will be covering about 40 junctions of the city with the ANPR, which is automated number plate reader cameras, and RLVD, red light violation detection cameras. Similarly, adaptive traffic control system, ATCS, and similarly we are coming up with the overspeed detection system. We have installed the pilot cameras in the on the Janmarg, on the Chowk dividing sector 17 and 16, and you will notice that people have already standing straight behind the zebra crossing by installing those cameras. And we have we have put up huge number of use cases in those cameras, like some wrong parking is there, a vehicle is stranded there, and somebody is actually violating the red light. It will be captured immediately and will be sent to the e-challan system for challan. It will be automatically sent to his email. And it by ATCS system, actually we want to make the traffic signals dynamic, because at present what we see that is that even in the during the VRs of the city, if a signal is fixed for 102 second, it will remain 102 second, even if there is no vehicle from that side. So we are coming up with ATCS system, and this is a very unique system we are installing, because it is not customary scoot or SCADA system which other countries are adopting, which other developed countries are adopting. Because in our roads, what we particularly in Chandigarh, we saw that we are with rotaries and with lights also. All our cycle tracks are merging on rotaries. All our service roads are merging on rotaries. And by installing lights on the rotaries, actually we are stopping the traffic around the roundabout also. So for some seconds, the traffic remains stuck around the roundabout. So we were not getting use of those customary systems, Scoot or SCADA. So we came up with the artificial intelligence system. By this, we are getting it developed from Bharat Electronics Limited, Bell. And what will they do is that they will be installing a PTZ camera, which is a 360-degree camera, which will be reading all the traffic from all the sides, from service roads, from cycle tracks, from main roads, and the all the cameras on all the junctions will be feeding the data to the algorithm in the central place, and algorithm will be deciding which signal is to be turned red, which signal is to be turned green. And we are coming up with the integrated command and control system in sector 17. The building is already work is already going on, and for this IT and ICT components, we are already procuring. The procurement is on the way, and by the December end, we will give the citizens this integrated command and control center. All the SCADAs of the city, like water SCADA, like light SCADA, like municipal officer health SCADA, all SCADAs will also be integrated with the integrated command and control system. And we are installing EDW softwares into this, so as to analyze that data, and the system will be suggesting the administration for possible changes they can make for making the lives of the people easy in the city. Uh, Another is that surveillance was another important thing in the city. So we are coming up with about 800 surveillance cameras in the city, and these cameras will be installed at major locations like entry of the parks, entry of the school, entry of the colleges. And use cases are like that: if you keep your bag for there 10 seconds, the camera will catch and report to the command center that somebody has left his bag there. And similarly, like if there are some loitering or मटर गश्ती वो स्कूलों कॉलेजों के आगे, those use cases the camera will be catching and reporting to the command center and directly to the police also. So there are a number of such. I will not be elaborating because shortage of time. And similarly, we are coming with one city, one app project, which is by this will be, I think, by the end of March, we'll be giving this app to the citizen, where all the services in the city will be available on a single app to the citizens. Already we have completed the work on 16 modules, and rest of the modules we are working on. And this probable name of this app is I am Chandigarh, and this will be available to the citizen with the payment facility also, and with to raise their grievance also, and even with the chatbot facility, so that they can even get the replies to their queries directly from the computer. So trying to make the lives of the citizens easy through this e-governance module also. And similarly, the other projects like place making, and we are already coming up with a sensory park for disabled in sector 22, so that the privileged people are underprivileged, and like the specially abled people are also able to enjoy the what normal people enjoy in a park. So these are special equipments which we are installing. We are calling the tender for this project in next week. Similarly, underpass has already come up in between sector 17 and Rose Garden, and it was an engineering project envisioned by our architects of the city, but it has actually become a social and a community project. I can say you can come and see that how people enjoy this underpass in the evening. जो young बच्चे हैं वो they use it for dancing, they use it for doing their course. There are also these presentations are also held there, exhibitions are also held there. So it has come into a social project. Actually, we have not envisioned, frankly. So similarly, if we see the urban culture wali side agar jaye, तो we are all capital complex and sector 17 all already under UNESCO World Heritage Site, and Chandigarh administration has done marvelous work in restoring the modern heritage, which was envisioned by our great Lee Corbusier, who planned the city. And the project has already been selected for award by ISEC. And our 4 projects, in fact, are selected for award. And we have already made a presentation last week. And let's see what's the. Actually, we are in tough ties with Indore and other cities. These 4 projects are this cycle tracks. Similarly, underpass in sector 17. Similarly, this solar water energy and UNESCO World Heritage Site. These 4 projects are actually, it's a very proud moment for the city that in 4 projects from a single city were selected for, shortlisted for award, and the final jury waited. Other projects which small projects we are coming up with is that this animal carcass burning plant. Actually, the solid waste management rules now say that you can't actually throw the dead animals anywhere in open. You have to actually process or incinerate the animals. So we are coming up with this animal carcass plant. The work has already been allotted. We are grappling with some issues with the forest department because the site which has been allotted to us is and somewhat because बहुत देर से खाली साइट पड़ी थी, तो शायद वहाँ पे फेंसिंग लग चुकी है. तो we are taking up matter with them, and it will be sorted out, and the plant will be established within 6 months from this date. I think I have covered all the major projects, and there are other number of small projects we are coming up, like smart schools, like a journey planner, like LED in sector 17 plaza, big LED in sector 17 plaza, so that to make the city vibrant, as Dr. Gupta said. So these are very small projects we are coming up. Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Shri N.P. Sharma ji, for informing us about what the Chandigarh Smart City Limited is doing. And as Chandigarhians, we are very proud that 4 of our projects, they have been selected for awards. And rather, I think the national mission which Gupta Sahab was also talking about, and which was brought about by our Honorable Prime Minister, to inculcate the sense of competition and federalism into the country, wherein one city will compete with the other. So I think the situation that you have shown us, and the things that you have highlighted and outlined, I think we are in the right direction of bringing up the positive competition among us, the cities, and at the end of the day providing good quality of services and improving the quality of life of the citizens as such. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Yeah. So now I request, taking the matter forward from here, I request Ma'am Sumit Kaur to talk about, what should have been done and what are the other best practices that we could learn upon, and so that the Chandigarh and other cities also can follow and evaluate yeah. So welcome, ma'am, uh, uh, and many thanks for your patience hearing, which was
Thank you. No, thank you so much. And I think I've really benefited by joining this session. Mr. Sanjeev Chaddha invited me, and Mr. Jeet Gupta persuaded me that I should be here. And I can't thank you enough, because today, hearing both of them, Mr. Gupta and Mr. Sharma, I really got to know the pulse of the city, what is happening now, So I think this platform which you provided should be there. One of the smart moves in the city should actually be bringing people together, and I think people should know off and on. We shouldn't have to invite, I think on a regular basis, if we could have some systems where people are brought. We have a trench of consideration, in the capital complex. I don't know how many of you have ever visited there. Corbusier himself had designed that there should be a place where people get together, discuss what is, the challenges the cities are facing, what the aspirations are. And I think, like such forums and all should be, now it is times and we are not moving out. But, this area has been very secure and out of bounds. But when we worked for the UNESCO World Heritage status, we got all those barricades removed, and people can now access the Capitol. So I think if we are there together on board and citizens show their interest and keenness to actually go and occupy that space, it will open up. So I think this is a positive step, and I think smartness in our city would be to get together, to deliberate and use technology, if not personally, to meet and discuss more often. So I think I must congratulate Mr. Jeet Gupta for giving all those very elaborate points, and Mr. N.P. Sharma for all this exhaustive work which the Chandigarh administration has done. Many of the recommendations, I was lucky that I had a 6-year tenure in the UT administration, and during that time was lucky to give a vision for the city's future. So we made the master plan for Chandigarh, and recognizing, that the city is so dear not only to us. It's been an urban experiment which people, even internationally come and study. There is something, unique about it, outstanding value which the city has internationally. So it was our duty, like Corbusier, we know, it's been said that he planned the city in 4 days, 96 hours to be precise, though he took off from mayor's plan, but he did it in 6. But as the city grows, and it's now more than 6 decades old, so the challenges of the city have grown intensely. Yeah. So we did an exhaustive study as to what the SWOT analysis is. What are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats. And today when we do the smart cities, I think I was seeing their presentation, the earlier presentation of the smart city, and there they have picked up those, points. So that exercise, like talking about, I will talk about the points which Mr. Sharma has raised while I discuss some of the recommendations which I would like to make. But I would like to say that definitely we are blessed to be living in this city, beautiful. And I always say, the city was born smart, and its DNA is very strong. And if in any city can become smart, from day one it has been smart, and today with all the planning parameters that it has in place, and to equip it and strengthen it with through technology, through ICT, through IoT, it can really, really come to any expectation. If there is any city that can go give the, highest quality of life, it is Chandigarh. State of the art infrastructure. Why the city has, experienced so much mammoth growth. It was just planned for 5 lakhs, doubled, and, it's growing still more, and the region around it has grown. Just speaks about, the strengths of that city. So how, it was our responsibility to ensure that what are the assets of the city. We should not lose that. What is that which we need to preserve? We should know where is there room to expand, what are the challenges, what are the aspirations of the people. So again, I'm hitting on the point that the aspirations of the people are very important. They will change over time as our technology changes, as our lifestyle changes, everything changes, our requirements for the city. So cities are a dynamic entity. So we have to go ahead and look at our city continuously. Not that we make a plan and then forget about it. It has to be in continuation. So I'm very happy to see that many of the recommendations of the master plan have been taken forward. But like before I come to those particular recommendations, I would like, I don't know how many of you are from Chandigarh and know Chandigarh, but to bring everybody on page, I think the smart city concept and vision should resonate with the rhythm of the city. Now, what is the rhythm of the city? What is our USP? Our USP is a green, open town, spacious, orderly growth, and green lungs of the city. Fresh air, we say. If I've lived in the city from, all these years, in fact, the city has grown with me and I've grown with the city. So the air used to be much purer. There used to be more order. There was never any dirt or any garbage anywhere. The concept of neighborhood, which has been ingrained in the master plan's DNA, in the urban structure of the DNA, is now being emulated worldwide. Barcelona, all the cities, Paris, the Madame Anna is the, mayor of Paris, and her, political agenda for getting re-elected was to have 15-minute neighborhoods. What Barcelona is doing is, clubbing up different neighborhoods and making them larger so that people can live, move around freely. There are less vehicular roads, and have everything within 15 minutes. Now, if we look at Chandigarh and compare, we are already there. We are in fact ahead of them. Barcelona is 15 minutes. Paris is also 15 minutes. Melbourne is looking at 20 minutes. And you know what? Chandigarh's neighborhood concept revolves around 10 minutes. Now, what is that 10 minutes? Means that you get every facility, whether it is schools, whether it is education, whether it is health facilities, whether it is recreation, everything is accessible within 15 minutes. But like I said, the population has grown, the number, and when Corbusier did it, I think they built resilience within the town. And because of the resilience in the town, the city has been able to sustain itself. Still today, it is one of the most livable cities. But can it? There is a limit to the holding capacity. If we say, like the master plan, we did this exhaustive, what people want, we had a lot of discussion. So they wanted the city's character to retain. So if you want the character to retain, we can easily go vertically if we want, but people didn't want it. People didn't want the Apartment Act to come in because they thought they'll add more, pressure. They wanted the greens, they wanted the mountains to show. So if we want that, so how do we take the city's future? So first of all was looking at the holding capacity of the city. How much the city can hold, and commensurated with it, what are the norms for the different facilities like education, health. Now the government has laid down norms. I think in fact Chandigarh's master plan played a big role in guiding these norms. And today, if we are looking at 16 population, we found that sector-wise, we did a detailed survey that there is deficit of schools because where there used to be one house, now there are 3 people have gone 3-story. and instead of one family, you have 3 families. The cars have multiplied. It was a pedestrian city, but cars have taken place. So there are these whole challenges. So my concept, what I feel is that we need to see what we should do when every world over they're looking at a neighborhood concept. Is our neighborhood concept working the way it is? That is first thing. And I think for that, I feel number one is that our shopping centers have shown that you need all your daily requirements, atta, dal, everything, daily requirements should be there in the market. But the market forces have changed those into specialized markets. So we have to ensure, pehle to har dukan was told, this is what you are going to sell, but that has not worked. And today, for many small little things, you have to move to other sectors, and you find your own places and unnecessarily commutes. So if we have to be smart, first we need to bring that back. We have to ensure that all the facilities which a neighborhood should have, they are provided within the sector itself. So first is shopping. Next is coming to schools. Now, in case of schools, parents always want to give their children the best of education. And for example, like I've lived in Chandigarh, and we had a school in Sector 20 where we were living, but my mother wanted to put me in a private school, not a government school, because she felt there was disparity in education. Now today we are smart. We are smart in education. This pandemic, we have been doing only online studies. And if we can do that, only a few schools in Chandigarh so far are smart schools. They've been designed as smart schools. Why can't all the schools be smart is my question. Why can't our education go up manyfold? Unfortunately, the government of India is today looking at improving the education. So this thing is, and like many countries abroad, you go to New York, you go to England, it's mandatory that people residing in a neighborhood should go to a school within the neighborhood. So why can't we do that? We equip our schools, we strengthen them, bring back quality education, get the best of teachers to give a talk, and that can be on a regular basis. Our quality of education will definitely go up. And this concept, have we seen how children go to schools which are in 26, 35, wherever there are good schools? They are crowding over rickshaws, hanging over rickshaws, so scary, or dangling on buses, and some of them coming long distances on cycle. So it's or parents are coming and leaving, unnecessary trips. Safety is compromised, whereas the concept of the neighborhood was that children should be able to walk from their house through green belts and go to a school, right? Now that is not happening, but it can happen. And most of our schools have blocked their entries, which were supposed to open from the green belts. They blocked that. Suppose we were to get this concept back, children would be walking through the green belts, enjoying nature while they go, And just imagine, won't that quality, you're going in a hurry, you're going through traffic, you're going through pollution, you're going, scared of your life. And on the other hand, you're enjoying nature as you go. Now, isn't that a smart move? So I think with smart education, bringing back neighborhood schools will be a big plus point, right? The third thing, I think Mr. Gupta and Mr. Sharma have shown real concern. And I think globally also, and today also, we are facing climate change. It's there at our doorstep. We are already late in handling our issues. So we have to be responsible. Somebody said, what about, so smartness is not about infrastructure alone. Smartness is not about IT alone. Smartness is also being responsible. Smart people are responsible. They are aware people. They are concerned people, and they have to do their duty. So we, like you said, I am Chandigarh is the app. I think we should all say, I love Chandigarh. If we hold Chandigarh as our home, then I'm sure we won't mess around. Every time I walk out from my house to go to the Leisure Valley, which is at a stone throw, there's a huge house, which is, I think 4 Canal House, which is recently we built. And every day, whether it is morning, whether it is evening, I find a garbage lying just outside that house. Now, is that a responsible thing? The garbage would also contain bouquets. So somebody has come and greeted them. It will contain all sorts of things. But that's not being responsible. You're cleaning your own house, but you're littering outside. So like I said, our mindsets have to change. We have to say it's our own home. If we take ownership, I think we are smart people. Otherwise, we are really just eating onto the city without contributing. Next, it comes to energy efficiency. Do we know that we have messed up the city totally because of our habits? On one hand, this sector was designed for family living, introvert, to be safe, to be walkable. But do we walk to the shopping center? Do we walk anywhere? For the smallest of things, if I have to pick up bread, if I am not saying I am an exception to the rule, I am to be blamed also. But on the other hand, there are other things which are also happening simultaneously, which I would say why I don't walk, So I don't walk, I'll take my car, and I'll go there, park, mess up, create congestion on the road, people passing. I don't let them also go. And I'm not the only one. There is a lineup, and you see, go to any neighborhood market, which is meant to be centrally placed so that people can easily come there. Corbusier thought of shade also, a connected corridor, so that people can walk safely. But are we allowing that? We have intrusions, we have barricades, and a lot of times, fire catches on these shops. And the fire brigade also doesn't have any place to come and park, So what can we do? What should we do? What is our responsibility? Can't we change our pattern? Don't we want to be healthy and responsible? Why can't we do the neighborhood shopping? Let's all, at least 30, 40 of us sitting today, let us all pledge that we will not use the car for going to the shopping center. Yeah? Why can't we walk it? And once we start walking, other things will fall in place. Over time, we have pampered the car. The other problem, like I said, it's not only us, the administration also, I think, and all of us, because we have been pampering the car, the administration has been pampering us by providing for more car. And the more we widening the road, eating away the footpath. I have lived in the city where I used to walk from 20 to 22 market, which is the only market, very comfortably, safely. I can't do it now. There are no footpaths. I have to walk on the street. And I would tell you how much it pains me. My own dad died in an accident walking on the road, and nobody came to the rescue, nobody, hit by a scooter and gone. He was not at fault. There was no footpath. He had no option but to walk. Don't we see our children walking on those roads? Can we send our children? We used to do that as children. We used to go to the market. Our parents would send us, walk to the school market, bring those things. Our parents can't allow us to do that now. So we have to change that. And we have to be smart enough to reduce the footprint. We should know, like Sir said, how much space a car occupies. It's not just owning a car, it's also providing for parking. It's also hampering security. These are intangible things which we are damaging. They cannot be counted, they're priceless. Is human life not precious? So I think we have to look at our, responsibility and change our habits. Energy efficiency. Chandigarh administration is doing so much. like solar city. I think we've all picked up solar panels, but it's only up to 1 canal houses. I think we need to look at this concept of sustainability going beyond just these physical needs. It has to look at sustainability in terms of being self-sufficient in its own energy. Today, there is a concept which is called net zero, and it even extends to net plus. Means you're giving back energy. You have a solar plant, but you can give back to the grid. If the Marla houses, is there a practical problem in providing, solar panels on the rooftop? Our sector could be looked as a microgrid, and those houses which do not have panels for these practical reasons, they can be given light, electricity and power generation from within that sector. All government buildings, schools, hospitals, community centers have panels now. So why can't we feed the areas which are not fed through these very means, right? So I think our responsibility in helping the administration and getting our net zero is also our duty. The municipal corporation has mentioned that they are working on solid waste, right? Very good. But aren't we responsible? Like I said, instead of there are, and I can, I was just talking to the chief architect yesterday, Kapil Setia, and he tells me he has been composting kitchen waste since ages, so many. I speak to another friend, she says she's been doing it. Why can't it become a universal thing? Why can't we segregate and at least there is a khamba kind of thing, a three-fold kind of instrument where you just have to keep changing and putting your compost. And that compost, we are lucky we have lawns in front, lawns at the back. We can create compost and we can use it in our, for our this thing. Why get manure from outside? So we should, that is a smart move, I think. We should all get into this. And I'm sure whatever problems of maggots and people have fears, these people tell us who are using it, that it's possible. If they can do it, there's no much, it's only in our mind. We need to change and we can compost. Next, I would say is, there is also at a larger scale. What we are doing is like the municipal corporation is saying that they are, retrofitting all their STPs. First of all, why should all our solid waste have to go down 4 kilometers? More than that, right at the end. How many? So I think about 10 kilometers to this place near Mohali, Zirakpur. It goes all the way down there, and from there tertiary water is pumped up. Right. So aren't we using, energy while we pump up water? So instead of that, we should have campuses. We have large campuses, 10 acres and even more. Why can't they generate tertiary water within the campus itself? So we should try as far as possible to, increase the number of STPs within the sector and, use the tertiary water for our own needs. So the next is that, if we look at sidewalks, you'll find that because the roads have been widened, there have been deep road cuts which have been left for stormwater drainage. Now that system can also be improved. If we have bioswales can come in place. They will refurbish the aquifers on the ground, and that will be a smart move. Yeah. So we can have better sidewalks by doing that. We need proper curb details and so I'm not going into those details. But we can also do a lot of, we have to bring people together. When we say it is my city, I love the city, today we lead individualized lifestyles. We go to office, come back, at best we'll take the family out for a movie, or go to a club or go and have dinner, that's it. Why can't the neighborhood, only during some occasions does a neighborhood, get together? Why can't it be on a regular basis? If we remove the cars from the shopping center, from the streets, we will interact, we will walk, we'll have chance for encounters. So we can, if we are freeing the shopping centers, we can create places for people over there, places for people to meet, to celebrate together. And once we do that, there'll be community bonding, and there'll be resilience. In case of crisis like this, we'll all be together as a family. One positive outcome that has come through, this pandemic is, I'm staying in Sector 10, and I would say our president and our RW was, active earlier also. But the moment the pandemic was announced, the first thing they did was create a WhatsApp group, put every member in there. They got to know who are senior citizens and every. So we were getting messages about what the administration had decided. That was a smart move. We were connected, where whatever problem we had about the sabzi wala not coming or whatever issues, were told to us. So why can't we may have a city level app with the administration. At residential level, neighborhood level, we should all be a family and be together supporting senior citizens or people in need, and celebrating our heritage, celebrating places, being together. There's a whole lot we can do in placemaking without detailing. Third thing I would say is that Mr. N.P. Sharma has said that we should have, they're doing bike, network. But, I feel the network can be extended further. It's a very good thing, very close to my heart. But I think we need to move it on further. It should be connected to, it should provide last mile connectivity, to our house. Safety is also important. And in the master plan, we have given, these green corridors. Most of you would know we have green belts within each sector, but unfortunately they are not connected. So cities, if you go to Boston, they have a whole park network. Chandigarh has it all. Like I say, if there is any city you can become smart, it is Chandigarh. We can walk if we want. If we connect this by tabletops, we can walk from the capital complex right till Mohali and even further. And we can cycle. People have started doing it now. Cycling from Sunny Enclave to the lake, but they do it along roads. What if they were allowed to go through green belts and enjoy nature? So I think we can create a whole network of much more enjoyable, joyous walking and cycling if we connect these green belts. We will be in nature, and pandemic has shown us the importance of, creating, of being close to nature. And the city's USP is in its, the views to the hills. So why don't we enjoy that on a daily basis? Why don't we walk to work? Why don't we walk to others? We will be more healthy. Chandigarh has most obese people. Why shouldn't we be fit and healthy? Yeah. So if we cycle, if we walk, we'll be much fitter too. So I think those are a few points. And another one is, we had a nice green belt around Chandigarh. Babuzia had thought, far-sighted, I would say. And I admire him each day because of his vision, and his far-sightedness. We can grow fruit. Even today, a lot of cities have started what is called urban agriculture within your house, and we have greens in front and at the back. It's not only that, today you have new system. One is the traditional way of growing food, the other is hydroponics, aquaponics, and you can grow food. You can have occasions where you come together and eat and celebrate. And now we have mango trees in our house, and there are 5 or 6 of them. The amount of mangoes that come through, I can throw a party to the whole neighborhood. So if we start growing, we would start sharing, we will be eating richer food also. So, and can we today we talk about organic food. Another thing is that a lot of projects, when they come onto public domain, we are not aware of, and then people will say this is not done. There are many projects which have brought in a lot of criticism later on. So why can't we, through the smartness, you know bring about this transparency, involved? There is a buzz everywhere that we should have public participation. Why can't we display the projects, involve the public, even before the project takes off? That will be a smart move. So there are many more points, but I think I've taken quite a bit. There are many more detailed points which I can talk about, but I've spoken about smart mobility is not just having an app and knowing that the bus is coming. There should be many more buses. Our public transport system is wanting desperately. When we were doing the master plan, we were told if there were good buses, reliable, on time, clean, neat, comfortable, people will hop onto those things. So why can't we have on demand also small buses? For example, if you go to the railway station, all of us take a car, ask somebody to leave us, then they come back empty. Why not through smart apps get to know which are the people actually going to the railway station in the near vicinity and pull up, have small buses or carpooling, we'll be saving the traffic on the road. There are many other things, like buses should, if we reduce the number of cars, look at the future vision. If we are reducing the number of cars, then we can have bus lanes and buses can move faster and we will not need any flyovers and things like that. We will not need any composting pits like the way we have made in the Leisure Valley, which are heritage areas, huge chunks, of land which has been eaten away, if we start composting at our home. So we have to be sensitive. We have to do, like you, sir, said, do with less. Yes, we have a very limited land. We are growing in numbers. We have higher aspirations. We want to be the best. We have been the best. But how do we continue to be the best? Aren't we all responsible? So I think the smartest thing would be to have this technology, IT, and people all together, say that we love the city and work towards it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, ma'am, for such a comprehensive and a talk on, how the master plan has been linked to this concept of smart city and how it has been implemented, and this concept about community engagement and ownership of the city that you have talked about, especially by the citizens. I mean, that goes far beyond what can be done on paper and actually how it has to be brought on ground. So I think with the all the three panelists talking about, there were certain queries also. And
Professor Chaddha, can you just give me 1 minute?
Ma'am, just a moment. Aarti ma'am, after Dr. Singla has talked about.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
So after he talked about, then I'll give you a minute. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Professor Singla. Please go ahead.
First of all, I must congratulate Mr. Chaddha for thinking of such a wonderful topic and inviting the key persons from different areas on the sustainability and smart city of city Chandigarh. And I must compliment all the three panelists, Mr. Jeet Gupta, Mr. N.P. Sharma, and Mrs. Sumit Kaur, whom I am almost daily following on the Facebook also. The concerns which she have expressed are so wonderful. I just want to tell few things only. When we talk about smart city or sustainable development of the cities, to my mind, smartness is with the people. And very rightly, Sumit ma'am has touched upon very intensively on that. Instead of working on a model of bureaucracy and political decisions, why can't the health decisions be taken by the health experts? Why can't the educational decisions be taken by the educationists? Why can't the environmental decisions be taken by the environmentalists? Why can't the social decisions be taken by the Why can't the transport decisions or public health decisions, or for that matter, the whatever things are to be done, they have to be professionally decided and involving people. People participation is the key in everything. There are simple solutions to most of the most complicated problems which I have come across. A very very simple solution which we don't. Madam Sumit Kaur has very elaborately, I must compliment. Ma'am, I would like to get your recording and re-listen, and it needs to be broadcasted to every citizen in the city.
Thank you so much.
You
No, I
know,
think we've all set the bell rolling,
yeah,
Mr. Gupta and everybody.
there are only few things like education, health, services like water and electricity. I often say if we are able to just supply clean water, which is not very difficult thing I'm asking for, and technically I'm also a civil engineer, possible to we can overnight dispose of the plastic use of the bottles. The
Absolutely.
can have multiple end results, and it's not very difficult. Public health, water, wastewater, solid waste, simple solution, which you have also suggested, ma'am. I have so many other things, but time will not be good enough. Then security of the people, inclusive, I mean girls, old age people, disabled, architecture, removing architecture barriers for everyone, and providing security. Focus should be on good governance than punishing governance. I mean, I should be good. I should be stopping my car at the red light, keeping in view that Mrs. Smith is coming from the other side. I should not make accident, not because of the challan, not because of this and that, which you have very nicely covered, ma'am. I just want to say a few things on that only, and then everybody is equal, and we inclusive means everybody is equal. But then for
Absolutely.
years we see that a lot of bureaucracy. My dad retired from secretariat. Few IAS and two IAS husband and wife used to come on bicycle. Mr. and Mrs. Vora. He always tells me that both of them they used to come on bicycle. And now are we doing more jobs than those people who built up the city? I mean, these are the
Yeah.
questions we need to ask.
Want to give
Or to ask ourselves. Thank you so much, Chaddha sahab, once again, and congratulations. And I would say that जो इसमें से अच्छी recommendation निकलती हैं, let it go to the administration. Thank you so much.
Right. Right. Thank you, Professor Singla, for your talks on the subject, and I think it carry forwards the agenda that we were talking about. Now, I request Aarti ma'am to talk about what issues she has in mind. Professor Aarti.
Thank you, Professor Chaddha. We all have really learned a lot from all the panelists. They are all very, very, I will say, knowledgeable in this field. I don't have much knowledge, but one thing I would like to compliment also to ma'am, that she has rightly quoted the example of one house near Layer Valley, where we keep our houses clean, but we throw the garbage outside. I think, ma'am, for that, when we are talking of smart city, I think we people should also be smart to
Yeah.
use the smart cities.
Yeah.
One
Absolutely.
thing I just wanted to say, and one thing which I earnestly want to focus and request when we are talking of smart city, and I just thought I should share with the experts on this field, that I think in Chandigarh, ma'am, we need to focus more on health sector.
Absolutely.
It is very pitiable situation. I don't know how many of us have been to PGI in Chandigarh. You just even can't stand for 5 minutes in the emergency when you see the patients.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming the doctors there. Hats off to doctors, those who are dealing with the patients.
Absolutely.
The number of doctors are very few and number of patients are increasing day by day rather, and very pitiable situation. So my request with folded hands to the experts, when we are talking of smart cities, we must first of all and foremost thing is the health sector, and then second it is the education. So thank you very much. I don't want to spend more time on this, and over to you, Professor. Thanks a lot.
Can I just add to Aarti's this thing? Health is a major concern, And like you would have noticed in the neighborhood concept, in some sectors there are health centers, but in other sectors there aren't. So I think it's time that we have health centers, because we had to lock down the whole thing in case of pandemic, and God forbid, if another similar situation comes, we would need to have, health facilities close at hand. So at every neighborhood, irrespective, we should have a health center. We should have community centers also. Yes.
Very
In
right, ma'am.
fact,
But all these health centers and all these dispensaries, they should be equipped also
oh
Yeah.
yes.
with
Yeah.
In
infrastructure and with the good doctors.
Madam,
Uh,
Because
Madam,
I don't know, there was a news 3-4 years back regarding the Sector 6 hospital, where this heart center is the PPP model.
Hmm.
There, I'm not sure, but it was the news in the paper that the cardiologist who was dealing with who was treating the patient, he was not the cardiologist. He was an Ayurvedic doctor. And within 3 months, there were more than 80 deaths in that hospitals
Oh,
because of
wow.
only heart disease. And
Hmm.
I verified also, this was the fact. So what I want to focus here, that whatever we do, maybe we start in a small portion only, but whatever we do, it should be fully equipped, and at least the common man should have faith in those centers, and should have faith on
Absolutely.
in the doctors, because they are
Okay.
just like they are next to God for us.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Aarti, for your valid suggestion. Now I request Dr. S.K. Sharma. Dr. S.K. Sharma, you had some points you had raised upon. Would you like to?
In fact, I had some internet problem. Thank you, Professor Chaddha, for affording me an opportunity and organizing such a wonderful session. Uh, in fact, I have some basic issues like stray dog menace.
Yeah.
There are more than 1,000 bites in a month in Panchkula, 1,000 bites in Chandigarh, and 1,000 bites in Mohali. And nobody has touched upon this issue.
Yeah.
So far as smart installation of smart lights are concerned, only the say LED lamps, they have been changed. But you see if you see the structure of the lamp post, they are in such a shabby and such a bad, pitiable shape. The junction boxes are opened, whether it is in the roadside on the main say dividing roads, or in the any garden. If you touch them, and nobody is going to be say live for another 2 minutes if somebody touches
Right.
them. Similarly, if you go to sector 17, how the wires are hanging loose, is the government not alive to these issues? And the
Hmm.
pavements, the rickshaw walas, pavement dweller, they are sleeping on the say verandas. Couldn't they provide some space? And the tons of garbage that has apparently been processed by JP group of companies that is lying in the Maloya. These are only my concerns, some of which came to my mind. I'm say putting before the house to kindly suggest
Yeah.
something.
Right. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Sharma. And I think you raised a very valid point, which Dr. Mohammed Suleiman also raised, that, these cities, they come up and they are smart, but whether they are inclusive, this is another point in question, because see, the real estate value and the cost of, getting an apartment or a house in Chandigarh, whether it is affordable for all, and whether it is inclusive in that sense that the workers who work for us, how they are placed in terms of their habitation as such, because the it gels with what Muhammad Suleiman also brought about. Yeah, sir. Jeet Gupta ji, sir, any takes on this subject, inclusivity versus
yes.
certain problems, operational problems, which Dr. S.K. Sharma also talked about.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Chaddha. I think we had very elaborate session. Right. Uh, Madam Smith Kaur raised the very basic issues, how the city operates, But unfortunately, this city has its own problems of planning. Corbusier never did justice to this city, Let me be frankly, when he was planning the phase one, he planned 150,000 people in 9,000 acre, And phase two, he never planned for phase two. He said 6,000 acre will hold 3,50,000 people, The density of phase one and phase two, 3.5 times. You can imagine, in the same sector, same system, same open spaces, you are accommodating 3.5 times. You can think of the quality of life the phase two will have as compared to phase one. That's what, In fact, nobody planned phase two, They never understood, will there be ever phase two? This is on record, that they were saying when they were planned for 5 lakh people. This city is not planned. This is a city is designed, Unfortunately, no planner was involved in this process, Let me be very clear. There is a project report which was prepared by the chief engineer, P.L. Verma. Hats off to that gentleman, The man who was pioneer in selecting the site, where there was no foreign hand. All Indians selected the site, and there could not be better site. I think one of the success of the city, 50% goes to the way the site has been selected and identified, number one. Number two, when they prepared the total formula, what city will have, this was a PWD, this was doing a job. There was no town planner involved. They had a huge lot of project report, which was handed over first to the Albert Mayer to do the job, and then it was given to the Corbusier. Corbusier said, I thought, bloody, this is an Oxonian kind of problem, there is no question of city, there is no question of saying anything. They are only saying the government is going to come, how many people are going to come. Here is a secretariat assembly, you want a capital complex, these are the, the centers we want, these are the health center we want, and they were all quantified and they were all done by this. So please understand, this city was a designed city, this was not a planned city. The population fix was never by any, town planner or anybody. It was fixed by the bureaucracy, that this city will be planned by 500,000. Debate went on, will the city be ever have a population of 500,000? This is on record, and that's what it was said. The city has no economic way because no industry was provided. And they said only government is going to come. Where the government, if the government is going to come, naturally there are babus to come. You only provide for their, eating everything and their recreation. That's what they provided in the phase one. And they said the city is not going to ever achieve a population of 3.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs, And they never planned for phase two. That's what the, ambit was. So let's, look at this. And when this phase two was left, and this phase two was never conceived, what it will have, what structure it will have. This was, they say, phase one will be a freehold, and phase two, which was very crowded, which will be a leasehold, That's what the mandate was given. Corbusier wanted that phase one, I have been mandate, I want this to be a currency note. What? He wanted a currency note, like a dollar. Why, he says, what gives a value to a currency note? It is written on the currency note that I promise to pay the bearer, that the amount what is there. So if it is dollar, it is, sponsored by the government of America. So everybody know America is very strong. The dollar is very strong. And accordingly, the currency will. He said, I want Chandigarh to be like a currency note, So whenever anybody think of Chandigarh, he will be assured that he has got best of, infrastructure and services. That's what is. And he left it the phase one. He never went for phase two because he said phase two was never there. And this periphery concept of periphery was primarily and essentially for what, It was not only to protect the city. They said, if at all this city, grows beyond 150,000 people, then how you are going to, foresource the land. He said, the moment in India, what is happening? The moment you start a development on the periphery fringe, the people will come and start, haphazard and land development. So the ambit of Periphery Control Act was that 6,000 acres, which was to be added for bringing 3.5 lakh people, that land should be secure. That's what he mandated. But what we are trying to look at, Chandigarh is most pampered city. You imagine the amount of cost the government is incurring and investing on every citizen. Compare it to all, people living in Bathinda or Amritsar, they are rotting, Whereas Chandigarh is a pampered city. And if I think If the budget is 496 crore, you can see for 10 lakh of people, it's everybody is getting 50,000 rupees government investing on everybody, to supporting it. So I think all these cities remain a pampered city. The kind of infrastructure we're talking about, the kind of things we are talking about, I think, are they sustainable or no? Chandigarh, it was planned. Can you imagine? Chandigarh has 6 lines laid to supply its water, and the water is supplied from where? 30 kilometer downstream. Every day, water is being pumped. The entire context of developing this city, that it will be done by gravitation right from north to south. There is a gradient, and the city will all be done by gravitation. It will be most cost effective. The total cost effectiveness has been lost because you are pumping water 30 kilometers down, and every month you are spending 2 crore rupees on the electricity bill. Why can't the city be zero water? Why can't the city be zero energy? This city is a landlocked. This city has no electricity of its own. It doesn't have an electricity plant here. The very fact the city should be made, the zero energy and zero water. And there is a possibility. You have, university. They have more than 500, 600 acres of land. There is a PGI, have another 500 acres of land. There are large institutions, government school and PGI, this PEC, etc. They have a whole lot of, the government, the intelligentsia sitting. But what is PEC, known as the National Institute of Excellence in Technology? Are they contributing even a single paisa to the growth and development of the city to make it smart? They are not available. You have all kind of intelligentsia sitting in Punjab University. Are they involved in? Why can't, rather than I was saying, why can't they make Punjab University zero energy and zero water, and why can't make PGI as zero water and water energy? Please see, PGI consumes how much water? Why can't the Secretariat of Punjab government, why can't the Assembly and the High Court, the three major buildings which are so much consuming energy, resources, etc., why can't be they made, the zero energy and zero water? Can you imagine in phase 1, sector 4, and 5, what is the per capita consumption? 1,000 liters per person. Imagine 1,000 liters per person is the consumption. How can you think of the city will level be sustainable? So I think what I'm trying to suggest is, rather than going for pan city anything, let them select one of the sector. Make it zero energy and zero water, like Madam Sumit Kaur was saying. Let it make me walk. Let them create a model, where the total electricity is there. I have been suggesting to the, municipal corporation, the phase 3 is totally littered with the, societies. Rather than asking one canal man, you put a solar plant. Who is going to do it? I think this is totally foolish. It has to be done on community basis, not on individual basis. Why can't all the societies which have so much population, why can't all the society be made zero, energy? Ask them that they will plant or there, and give them incentive, make them, and it's the easiest possible. And the plant, they can put the sewerage plant. There are small plants available. They can immediately recycle all this water, and then they can recycle their garbage even. If they start doing from those society, just providing a big incentive, 5 or 10% in their property tax, you will find this Chandigarh, the water requirement will immediately go down. You ask Punjab University, which occupies hardly 15 to 20% of their total land under building, and they have a huge space. Why can't they grow agriculture, or why can't they, have those electricity put in, panel put in? They can generate huge amount of electricity. I think if they only target institution in Chandigarh, which are having
Yeah.
so much space, and secondly, you have in sector, a sector has 8 acres of land or 10 acres of land under a school, phase 1. Why can't the school be run on two shifts, rather than having two schools, every school should run on 2 shifts, so that they can cater to all the education requirements, and you have a huge amount of land lying vacant for these institutions. They can all be, used for multiple purpose, for a play area, for the resident itself. So there are many solutions within, but I
Yeah.
would suggest, if they take these institution number 1 as a target, to make them, ideal, a role model for the emulation. Number one, they can involve the institute. Number two, they take up these few sectors, and then do that incentive, and there let them hold the competition among the sector who does the best, award them. You will find the net result will be much better and much quicker. Unfortunately, Chandigarh, we are too bureaucratic. We have a municipal corporation. I think of the people who have lived during the earlier model of governance in Chandigarh. We don't need a municipal corporation. I think they have done more damage than good. We have a mayor changing every year, 5 years. How can you can think of the kind of things they will do? There was a bureaucratic model. We had 24/7 water. The garbage was very well taken note of, and things were running very efficiently. I think the 74th Amendment needs to be seen wherever those models have worked very well. Those models needs to be taken note of. But I think the Chandigarh has to do what, if they have to have a model of public governance like municipal corporation. I think Chandigarh and the change should be asked to sit down, let the entire thing should be done, and they should make it, the mayor is elected directly simply for 5 years, not for every year where they change and ask people to do it and they have no role and importance. So ultimately, the importance, small thing, but important thing. Chandigarh have a, wealth of intelligentsia. They need to be involved at each place to make the city a better place, but they will do better by focusing on institution rather than pan city, and also, and taking sector as a role model for zero energy, zero water, and everything. They're making it much safer, better, and that can be a role model for this. That is what I
Right.
would like.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Ajit Gupta ji. Thanks a lot. And I think we have already exceeded our brief in terms of time. But I'm very happy with the discussion that took place on this subject. So maybe, we can have a certain sectoral kind of webinar on certain issues like we were talking about walking or maybe urban mobility, which also is a part of smart city because it's a big concept. So friends, we come to an end of this session, and it was a very fruitful discussion. And we found out, there are major outcomes on this session, that the smart city mission scheme of the government of India, which is a mission which is very much alive and kicking, and a lot of work has been done. I'm sure in other 100 cities also, as with Chandigarh, as Mr. N.P. Sharma has elaborated on various aspects like energy efficiency, on transport mobility, on the green and the parking issues, on beautification of Sector 17, heritage parts, and then even the how the traffic lights and the dynamic. It's, I mean, in all aspects, improvement in ICT, involvement of people. I mean, small baby steps have been taken in all 24/7 water supply, good power supply, and energy efficiency. So, but then the results will be visible over a period of time, and the scheme is still 2022, and they are sure that by that time further results will be visible. And all the panelists, they have agreed that Chandigarh was already a smart city. It has the smartness in its DNA, and but then certain areas which are still some issues to be done is that more community engagement is required. The behavioral change in people is still a lot of we have to walk the talk on these aspects. Leadership, as all the panelists agreed on this aspect, leadership on fronts of even the political leadership, in the bureaucratic leadership, and even the leadership in terms of the what general public can come around. Even that aspect, still lot of things needs to be done into this regard. So I thank all the three panel members, Ma'am Sumit Kaur, Engineer N.P. Sharma ji, and Architect Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, for sparing their valuable time and contributing so much on this webinar. This was a very healthy discussion. All the audience, the lovely audience that join us and since the last 29 Sundays, and especially salute to them who join because it's a holiday on Sundays. And the team of IHRD comprising Sanya, Shri S.K. Sharma ji, Professor Muhammad Suleiman, Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, who provide us with lot of impetus and lot of suggestions on what needs to be done, what areas, and who work from the background. And to the lovely audience, the e-certificates will be available. You kindly just ping upon WhatsApp number 8727857116. I repeat, 8727857116. So we'll have you in our records, and we'll be sending your information also. And later on, e-certificates will be sent to you, and then the recording will also be available on the YouTube channel in a day or two. So that will also be forwarding to you. So till the time we meet again, friends, have a lovely Sunday. Be safe, be secure, and try to engage more in your city, in your neighborhood. And goodbye to all of you. Sayonara and namaskar.
Congratulations, Dr. Sanjeev, for organizing such a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, and it was lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.